What's going on, Muscle Monsters? Alain Gonzalez here, and welcome to another Instagram Q&A where I take your questions directly from my Instagram page and answer them right here in one of these videos. So without further ado, let's jump right in. First question, how to make sure you're making muscle gains and not fat gains. So here's the problem with wanting to build muscle without putting on fat. All right, if we want to maximize the amount of muscle that we gain, we are going to have to be in a caloric surplus. And when we're in a caloric surplus, we are going to gain some fat. However, if you don't mind taking a bit longer to build muscle mass, if it means staying leaner or even burning fat at the same time, then a recomposition might be a better strategy for you. Now, again, this means that muscle gains aren't going to come as fast. However, you're going to be able to put on muscle without fat, okay? Essentially, the way you're going to do this is you're going to eat at maintenance, get enough protein, and focus on progression in the gym, okay? This is known as a body recomposition. And if you want more details on exactly how to kind of follow this approach, then I'm going to link an Instagram post down below. Just read that. It'll go over all the details and give you a better understanding of how it works. Is it necessary to train your neck? No. In fact, most trainees that you see with respectable physiques don't ever train their necks directly. Now, if it's something that you want to bring up, something you want to specialize on, maybe you want your neck to grow a bit more than your training is allowing, then sure, by all means, add some direct neck training. However, it's not something that you're going to have to do. Most guys will build their necks relative to their physiques just based on their main heavy compound lifts. I'm working on the arm explosion program. Any tips for good form with tricep exercises? I'm never sure if my elbows are far back enough or too far during extension, standing, sitting, lying. Basically, any tips for isolating the triceps. The best tip I can give you right here on the spot is to make sure that you are fully lengthening and fully shortening the muscle. Too many people, when they're doing their tricep extensions, they stop midway because they want to keep constant tension. The truth of the matter is, though, we want to train the muscle from its weakest position and through a full range of motion. So on your tricep extensions, for example, instead of stopping here, then coming down, right, you want to make sure that your forearms are touching your biceps. Once that happens, the triceps are fully lengthened and at their weakest position. Start implementing this if you're not already, and you're gonna notice that your triceps are gonna grow much quicker. If I maintain calories but get lots of protein, can I build muscle? You can build muscle, but you're not going to build more muscle than you would if you were in a caloric surplus. Not to mention that even though you're at maintenance and you're getting more protein, right, you're not actually going to build more muscle than if you were at maintenance and got a gram per pound of body weight, for example. That extra protein is not really going to be useful, right? Because there is only so much muscle that we can build, especially at a maintenance level, and you can't increase that simply by increasing your protein intake. What is a good, reliable brand of protein supplements? The one that I recommend, and it's the one that you guys see in all my recipe videos, is by Legion Athletics. It's called Whey Plus. If you're interested, I don't see that there's anything special about one protein or another. I do know, however, that this protein tastes better than most proteins I've ever tasted. And so if that's a factor for you, if you're just looking for a high quality protein, then I'm going to link it down below. And if you want a discount, then I believe the code is Monster10. Okay, that's going to give you, I think it's about 10% off of your first order. I don't get paid for you using that discount code that's just for you guys to get a little bit of a discount on any purchase you make through Legion Athletics, which is the only supplement company that I actually buy stuff from at this moment. What is considered 3 servings of vegetables a day? Can too much macros affect one's bulking? 3 servings is just that, 3 servings, right? So a serving of carrots is 1 serving of carrots. So if you have a bag of carrots, whatever it shows 1 serving as, that might be considered 1 serving, or maybe 1 actual carrot, right? Just like a banana would be considered 1 serving of fruit, right? So another thing is, like, for example, if we're talking broccoli, right? You might just say 1 serving is 1 cup of broccoli. Okay, every food item has its own amount that is considered a serving. So you need to find what that amount is. But don't overthink this, right? This is not something that you want to lose sleep over, right? If you need 3 servings of vegetables, then have, 2 cups of broccoli and then 1 serving of carrots, for example, okay? And will it affect your bulking? Sure, it can. If you're trying to get more vegetables than you actually need, just for the sake of it, then what's going to happen is you are going to be fuller for a longer period of time, and that's not going to allow you to consume as many calories as you actually need in order to gain weight and build muscle. Is it best to bulk for 1 year with a steady pace of gaining 2 pounds per month before cutting? Ideally, yeah. And even more than that if you can, right? The slower you bulk, if you're doing things correctly, the less fat you're going to have accumulated by the end of that bulk, which means that now you can have a shorter cutting period. It doesn't make sense to bulk really hard for 6 months if now you're going to have to cut for another 6 months because you've put on so much fat. So yes, ideally you want to bulk for as long as you can without getting too fat before you start your cut. You also don't want to bulk too much and put on too much fat, again, because then you're going to have to spend too much time in a cut, and you don't want to spend too much time actually trying to lose body fat, because in that process you can end up losing muscle and not necessarily work backwards, however, not move as far forward or as fast as you can. How can I increase my appetite? Because I have a bulking breakfast and I'm still full 3 hours later. What I would recommend is a homemade weight gain shake like the recipes that I've been sharing on this channel. The reason is simple. You can get a lot of calories in a short period of time, and because it's a semi-solid food, it's got a weaker appetitive response than solid foods. On top of that, you want to get on a schedule. So even if you're not hungry 3 hours later, make it a point to eat something, even if it's just a small protein bar or something like that. Because what's going to happen is your metabolism is going to adapt to that schedule, all right? And you're going to find that after 3 hours, you're going to start being hungry around that same time. So if you can stay on a schedule, your body will get used to that schedule and it'll always be hungry around the same times every day. Need advice? I'm eating all of my macros, and at the end of the day, due to my activity level, I'm still under. Need suggestions about eating to gain size. Yeah, this just means that you're not eating enough, right? You're not in the caloric surplus that you're actually aiming for. You're saying you're eating all of your macros, but your macros are wrong, okay? Your macros are only right, assuming you want to gain muscle, if those macros are putting you in a caloric surplus. So you've got to increase your caloric intake to match your activity level, okay? One way you can do this is increase your calories by, say, 500, track your weight every day, and at the end of the week, get an average. Okay, every week, get an average at the end and compare to the previous week. If you're in a surplus, you're going to be gaining weight. That means you're eating enough, and you should stick to that calorie intake. If you're not, right, and it's still going down or maybe just staying the same, then again, increase again, repeat until you're in that surplus, and then continue from there. I've been doing squats and a lot of running for the past 2 years, and I'm not gaining any muscle in my lower body. After a workout, I'm not hungry and I always end up drinking a protein shake. I'm a female, 145 pounds, 5'5", but I would like to gain more muscle. Do you have any suggestions? Yes. Doing the squats and a lot of running is just not going to cut it. If you want to put on muscle mass, you have to train for muscle mass. And the way I would recommend that you do this is to get on a strength training program. A program that's going to have you squatting, deadlifting, bench pressing, things of that nature, and then focus on gradually increasing the stimulus, gradually getting stronger over time. This is what's going to put muscle mass on your frame, not the running, right? Not the squats. I'm going to assume that you're squatting, maybe doing like body weight stuff. If you're putting that together with running, I'm not really sure what you're doing exactly. But if you want to build muscle, you've got to do a couple of things. Number one, you've got to eat enough total calories for the day to put you in a caloric surplus. Number two, you have to get enough protein, right? If we don't have enough protein, it doesn't matter if we're in a surplus, we're not going to be able to maximize muscle protein synthesis. And then number three, we have to get stronger in the gym. If we're eating enough, assuming we're getting enough protein and we're getting stronger in the gym, we will build muscle, period. If you're looking for a program to start off with, you can grab my Mass in a Flash. It's completely free. I'll put the link below. Just go there, put your name and your email address. You'll get instant access to the program. And yes, it's completely fine to run if you are a female. 3 sets of 10 or 3 sets of 20 for hypertrophy. First of all, that's just kind of a black and white statement, or question rather. You can do both, and it doesn't have to be 3 sets, and you don't have to compare 3 sets of 10 to 3 sets of 20. But just for the sake of your question, I'd recommend 3 sets of 10 just because you're going to do less volume, which means you'll be in the gym for less time, and you're going to be able to train heavier, right? Because now the intensity is higher since you're only aiming for 10 reps. 3 sets of 20, that could work too if there's progression involved, but I don't think that you are maximizing your time in the gym when you're doing that much volume. You could, however, do both, have a day where you're doing 10s and have a day where you're doing 20s. However, if you had to choose one, because that's what you asked, then I would go with 3 sets of 10. How often should I train abs, and can you post some ab videos? I actually have an entire ab video that goes over all the exercises I recommend, and it even goes over how many days you should train your abs. I'm going to link that below, but just for the sake of this video, I would say train your abs 2 or 3 times a week with direct ab work, okay? You're already going to be stimulating the rectus abdominis, right? The 6-pack, the superficial muscle of the core, with your heavy compound lifts, right? Because one of the main functions of the rectus abdominis, believe it or not, is stabilization of the spine. So when we're squatting some heavy ass weight, we are actually utilizing our rectus abdominis, right? We are going to hypertrophy the abs with those heavy compounds. The isolation exercises are going to just further increase the total amount of volume that we do, plus we get to actually train their functions. So I would say maybe 2 or 3 times a week if you really want to maximize hypertrophy in the abs. And last but not least, what is the best routine for a hard gainer? A bro split or any other? Please clear my doubt. Definitely not a bro split, okay? The problem with the bro split is, number one, it's too much volume, okay, for each muscle group. And number two, when you say, for example, train your chest on Monday, you elevate muscle protein synthesis, it drops back down to baseline, maybe say Wednesday, and then you're not elevating it again until next Monday. Okay, so you're not maximizing the amount of time that you're spending growing, right, in an anabolic state per se. All right, so what you want to do is you want to train on a program that is a higher frequency. So maybe like a 3-day full body approach. Because here's the thing, even when volume is equal, okay, we build more muscle training a muscle group twice a week than we do once per week, okay? So that in and of itself is more than enough of a reason to do a full body or an upper lower. Okay? And so that's pretty much it. I mean, there's really no debate there. This isn't even something that we question these days. If you're a beginner, you want higher frequency, possibly lower volume per session, and you want to aim for strength and focus on the big heavy compounds. Something like my Max in a Flash, which is completely free, and the links down below, would be perfect for you. So that's pretty much it, guys. If you want your questions answered, head over to my Instagram page at Muscle Monsters. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Peace.